Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about skin that is injured or stressed and how we can help it using essential oils. So there's a lot of wonderful products that you, I'm sure, have probably heard of, but maybe didn't know specifically why they were good for injured or stressed skin. And we're going to give you some really good tips about how to make your skin healthier. Sometimes in the summertime, we wind up with cuts or burns, or children fall down and scrape their knees, right? We want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves, our kids, and all the members of our family with exactly the products that we need. And so I'm going to give you a list. I think it's about 10 essential oils that you want to keep in your medicine chest, if you will, in your first aid kit, to make sure that you have them if something happens now during the warm months where we're getting out. I know a lot of you are on school holidays, you're hiking and biking and enjoying time outdoors with family, and sometimes we wind up with a boo-boo that we didn't expect. Okay, so there you have it. I want to also make sure that everyone knows that while we try to answer as many questions as we have during the presentation, there's also certain things we want to make sure that everybody understands, that we don't want to be diagnosing anyone. We don't want to be diagnosing any conditions. We're just helping you out. And then obviously there's tons of books and resources out there, and you can always contact me privately if you really have a specific concern. You can type something in the chat or send me an email or a text message. Anyway, so healing your skin when it's injured or stressed. I hope you don't have injured or stressed skin right now. I just have to say, I was visiting some family over the weekend, and first, right as I was leaving, I burned my finger. Not super serious, but I did burn my finger. And then I bumped into a pole and wound up with a giant bruise. So I'm using my essential oils on both of those things, and they have been very soothing, and I really do see quick healing. And I'm going to mention to you which particular products I used to get just better, faster healing for myself, right? Okay, so this is kind of a nasty slide, but I only have one. So if you have like a wound like this is not a really beautiful one, right? Essential oils can help with healing. They can help with scarring. They work by regenerating the skin cells of damaged skin. There are also oils that improve the appearance of scars and improve skin health. So you may have been struggling with a skin condition that's not caused by something immediate, but maybe something more long-term. And we're going to talk about that also. You can experiment to see which oils or combination of oils bring you the best results, and also use correctly. Essential oils pose very little risk. So they're not hard on the liver. They're easier for the body to process. They're processed just like foods, whereas many other topical applications that you may get even over the counter can be very hard on your body on the long term. First thing, so let's get rid of that slide, right? First thing I want to talk about is actually fractionated coconut oil, and why fractionated coconut oil is your friend. So very often we think of fractionated coconut oil or any liquid fatty oil as diluting the oils, and that maybe that's not the best thing. And that really what we want to do is get the power of the oil right onto the cut or the scrape or whatever it is. And really that's not the best way. You want to dilute your essential oils for two big reasons. Number one, essential oils can be drying. They do not have any fat in them, folks. And so as they dry out the skin, they can actually make the skin feel a little bit tight. And we don't want that tight feeling. We want the skin to stay supple and heal. So by adding in the fractionated coconut oil, we're allowing the skin to stay supple. Number two, and this is the biggest one, fractionated coconut oil acts like glue. Doesn't feel like glue, it's not sticky on the skin, it absorbs easily, but it actually glues that essential oil right into place and allows it to not evaporate as quickly. Essential oils tend to evaporate very quickly when they're applied to the skin. We want to make sure, there are some, of course, that have long-lasting and sticking powers, but fractionated coconut oil actually extends that sticking process. And so for those two reasons, right, providing moisture and also providing sticking power, we want to start with our fractionated coconut oil. So number one, we're talking about skin healing, is fractionated coconut oil. Number two, or maybe the first oil that I love for all healing because of its gentleness, is actually helichrysum. So it has anti-inflammatory, antifungal, and antibacterial properties. Can be useful just for skin healing in general, but it also is anti-inflammatory. It has a substance that's called arsenol. It can play a part in healing of wounds. So it is one of the oils that I use frequently. I'm actually applying it to this little burn that I have on my finger. And when you have any sort of an open wound, you want to make sure that you're covering it properly, right? So when I first burned my finger, and I think I mentioned this, that was super painful. I applied a little bit of ice to it, but I realized I had basically burned the heck out of it. And I needed to maybe clean it and protect it, because if I bumped it where I was moving around, it was not going to feel good. Then that's when I'm applying my fractionated coconut oil, my drop of helichrysum, and a small, for me, this is a small wound, putting a Band-Aid on it, right, to just protect the skin. Once I've had that on for maybe a couple of hours, or maybe until I go to sleep, I'd be removing that bandage because I do want the cut to get some air and to begin to dry. I'm less likely to be bumping my fingers when I'm sleeping. Now, if you have an open seeping wound, obviously you're going to want to keep it covered, right? But if the scrape or whatever it is that you're treating seems to be dry, it's not actively excreting anything, you can feel free to take off the bandage, at least while you're sleeping, let it kind of dry up. And in the morning, you can put a bandage back on to let it dry, to let it stay protected. However, if you've got bandages on your fingers or your hands, as you well know, we wash our hands throughout the day, you're going to have to change those bandages throughout the day. You don't want a wet, soggy bandage on any cuts. It's really not that healthy, right? You've got tons of bacteria. Not a good idea. Number two on the hit parade, frankincense. Absolutely love frankincense. It soothes the skin. It evens out skin tone. It kills bacteria. It's also wonderful for treating scars. Hey, it can help to promote the growth of new skin cells, tighten the skin. It's really just one of those, I guess it's kind of like an all-over wonderful oil, but it is really the boswellic acid in the frankincense that has the anti-inflammatory effects. And that's why we need it when we're talking about skin healing, specifically for really injured skin, right? Any skin that's been scraped up or maybe burned severely. Want to make sure that we're applying our frankincense. Any of these oils, especially your frankincense or your helichrysum, can be taken internally. And I would recommend maybe putting 1 to 4 drops in a capsule and kind of supporting your healing with your frankincense. You can also be diffusing if you need to really calm down, if it's a severe injury. All of those things are going to help you in the long run. Number 3 in my favorite oils is geranium. It's wonderful for treating scars because it relieves inflammation, evens out skin tone, and also encourages new cell growth, all of which we need when we're working towards repairing our skin after an injury. So my finger now is pretty dry and healed. I don't have a Band-Aid on it during the day. I'm applying geranium so that it continues to heal and really that the scar goes away. That's what I'm looking for. Usually on our fingers and even on our feet, we do have cell regeneration, frequent cell regeneration, but you might have a scar or something on another part of your body that doesn't get as much blood flow and takes a little bit longer. So a scar perhaps up here on the shoulder or someplace else that's not a highly doesn't have a lot of regenerative properties as say the feet and the toes do, or the feet and the hands do, it's going to take a little bit longer. So geranium oil is antiseptic, antimicrobial, and antibacterial, and it can make scars appear less visible. In 2003, a study found that geranium oil was effective in preventing and treating inflammatory skin conditions. So you may have something that's maybe not immediate, like a cut or a burn, but something that you've been maybe addressing for a while. And so incorporating your geranium oil can help you to address those longer term skin conditions as well. Let's also talk, of course, about lavender. Where would we be if we didn't talk about lavender, right? It does promote cell and tissue regrowth. It's antibiotic, antitoxin, and antiseptic. In 2016, the lavender was demonstrated to provide wound healing activity, and it seems to have a lot of potential to use as a natural treatment to repair skin tissues. Another study found that lavender oil would increase collagen and regenerative tissue. I would strongly recommend that you look into using the MetaPower Advantage. That's a small sachet of collagen powder. You would basically mix it into a small amount of water, a half a cup or about 125 milliliters. Mix it up and drink it. You could use that as a reparative treatment as well. We're working then from the inside out, right? So if there is a skin issue that you've had for a while, you may actually address it from the inside as well as the outside. It's not an immediate injury, right? It's something that's a little bit more long lasting. We want to make sure that we're treating things from the inside and the out. Topical application of lavender helps to speed up wound closure and also promoted wound shrinking, which is a wonderful thing, right? Okay, our next one on the hit parade is cedarwood. It's good for so many things, cedarwood, but it is also has a rejuvenating effect. So treating skin conditions, including scars, I would be diluting cedarwood, not because it's a hot oil, but because it does tend to be quite drying to the skin. It also can have anti-inflammatory effects and pain relieving effects, and it's useful in the treatment of acne. So use your cedarwood, whether it's something that's immediate or long lasting. And here's the other thing: you don't have to use all of these essential oils. If you have some of them already in your house, take them out, put them aside, maybe put them in a small pouch in case somebody is injured or is burned, and make sure this is your first aid kit, if you will. If you have them all and you want to make some sort of a roll-on for yourself or members of your family, something that you've been actively working to get some healing, this would be a wonderful way for you to make some sort of a combination for yourself. And you're going to hear about a couple of different essential oils now. I've got a few more that I want to mention to you that I really feel that will help you in your wound healing and why you want to incorporate them into your maybe daily or weekly treatments for skin. Okay, tea tree, all know about tea tree, has enormous healing potential because it is antiviral, antibacterial, and antifungal. The antioxidant and antibacterial activity can actually accelerate the wound healing process. It is antiseptic and anti-inflammatory, which means if you do have a little bit of swelling, it can bring down the inflammation in that particular area. Sometimes, as we know, we get a cut and then the finger or the toe or whatever it is begins to swell, maybe to redden. Use your tea tree oil. You want to make sure you're getting the bacteria out of there. It does help to boost the immunity, so that's why you are going to see that anti-inflammatory effect. And it also is promising. Some studies back in 2016 showed that it showed great promise as compared to other essential oils and other topical treatments that are sold over the counter for anti-inflammatory disorders and for wound healing. So it does come pre-diluted. As you know, several of these oils come pre-diluted. Might be something you want to consider. We do have a whole set of roll-ons that includes the tea tree and the lavender and the fractionated and the frankincense already mixed with fractionated coconut oil. Up to you. You can make your own, or you can just use a product that we have. Okay. Here's an example of something that only comes diluted. Neroli, as you know, we've talked about it many, many times. Wonderful for menstrual issues, for any sort of safe for women during pregnancy. It is part of the bitter orange tree, but this is specifically from the flower. You can see the flower here. This is one of the plants from which we get 3 different kinds of oils, but neroli specifically has a beautiful floral scent. It's wonderful for treating scars, can reduce pain and inflammation. antimicrobial and antioxidant, making it a really powerful healer. It also has some antifungal effects. So when we're talking about skin and wounds, this is something you want to include. And as I mentioned, it is only available in the roll-on with the fractionated coconut oil already. Of course, you can open up the roll-on and do whatever you want with it. Okay, Roman chamomile. This is a particular one that I love for babies because it is so incredibly mild. It is distilled from the white chamomile flowers, and it does have a lot of antioxidant properties. It's used, as we know, in teas for calming. It can be used in diffusing. One of the things I love about Roman chamomile is it can be used on really family members of all ages, which makes it so powerful. And one of the reasons why we would want to keep it in our first aid kit. It can eliminate irritation when you're talking about irritated skin, and to soothe blemishes and sores if someone is challenged by any of those things. Okay, lemon oil seems like a really weird one, but it actually is terrific for cleaning out cuts. So I would be dabbing it on maybe with a clean cloth or a piece of gauze. It can be used as a cleaning and sterilizing agent without that burn and sting that we sometimes get from using, I know people still use this, from just straight up alcohol or other anti-inflammatory cleansing agents. They can really burn or sting, and kids kind of jump through the roof when you try to clean their wounds. If you do have a wound and you've got a lot of gravel in there, you want to make sure that you're using water and soap to gently flush out the wound, maybe kind of splashing the water on there to get out any dirt or gravel, especially if somebody's has fallen, but then using your lemon oil diluted again to kind of clean out that wound and really make it, using the antimicrobial and antibacterial properties of the lemon to make sure your scrape or your wound is disinfected with your lemon oil. Okay, another fabulous essential oil, peppermint. Again, seems counterintuitive, but I'm going to think of it now when we think of bug bites. So very often people get a bug bite. It can be really tiny, and the next thing you know, it's becoming red. It's looking really nasty. There are all different kinds of bugs that bite. Of course, everything from ants to mosquitoes and things that are even worse. And we want to make sure that we immediately are able to reduce the inflammation from any of those bug bites. So you can be applying it around the bug bite, right, to reduce the inflammation. Also, the cooling effect of peppermint oil can help to really make that bite, because usually it's kind of a sharp sting right at one time. For heaven's sakes, we also know that sometimes people can be allergic to insect skin. Don't take any chances if you see someone who is beginning to have respiratory difficulties, or it's their limb is swelling up, whatever it is. Make sure they seek medical attention right away. But for your garden variety bites that are just kind of uncomfortable and maybe a little bit red, peppermint oil is wonderful and can also protect against the germs and microbes that got into the skin because you just got a bug bite. Eucalyptus is kind of an interesting one. I don't usually think of eucalyptus for skin rashes. I usually think of it for respiratory issues, but it is particularly effective in providing moisture to irritated, itchy, and painful skin rashes. So I've been using this with fractionated coconut oil to provide that moisture that you need for healing. Again, we talked about how essential oils can be drying. We don't want to over dry the skin so that it cannot heal. We want to make sure that we're providing as much healing moisture that the skin needs to be able to regenerate itself. It is important also to recognize that it does have a compound phytochemical. It's actually a flavonoid called alka-dosi and tannisi, both of which create that kind of healing effect in the skin. It also is anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, astringent, antiseptic, and antioxidant. So it's got a ton of really good properties. I love our eucalyptus because it is a blend of multiple different types of eucalyptus. So you're getting all those different elements, I don't know what else to call them, working harmoniously. Again, use it with your fractionated coconut oil for your best effect. Okay, sandalwood. Now, I know some of you will remember sandalwood. Maybe your grandmother has sandalwood soap, or you've seen sandalwood just being used for different sorts of, I don't know, perfumes, or it's sort of an old-fashioned scent, but it's actually essential for the skin and really something that you want to keep in your, terrific for wound healing, in your medicine chest if you're looking for something for healing. It has a soothing effect on skin, works really well to relieve inflammation and itching, and it is antiseptic. I would absolutely use it on eczema or to prevent any sort of skin infection. So sandalwood, keep it in mind. It's a little bit more viscous, so a little thicker than certain essential oils, but don't be fooled. Make sure, again, that you're treating it with your fractionated coconut oil to get a really good emollient application on whatever it is that you're treating. I personally am going to be taking most of these essential oils and kind of adding them into a roll-on. I may add like a couple of the wood oils, like the sandalwood and the cedar wood, and maybe blend in a drop or two of the eucalyptus, and then my fractionated coconut oil. I might make a second one that's more like a flower. And I don't want to do, for me at least, is a kitchen sink effect, just dump everything in there. So I may put them together by categories and then use them as a roll-on. If that gives you a little bit of direction, I think that's a wonderful thing. The last thing I am going to mention is, if you have a chronic skin condition, something you've been dealing with for a long, long time, doesn't seem to go away. Maybe you've gone to several doctors. Maybe you've gotten a diagnosis about what this thing is. I'm going to encourage you to look into your gut health. And I know we've talked a lot about gut health in the past, but everything from reflux to constipation, some of the most common complaints that people have, sort of that gastroenteritis, even things like hemorrhoids, all have to do with gut health. And our body, fortunately or unfortunately, has certain ways of ejecting toxins, and that's obviously through our breath, through our nose, and through our methods of excretion. But when the body is clogged up, specifically the digestive system, where do we try to eject toxins? We try to eject them through the skin. So if you have been dealing with a chronic skin condition for a long, long time and you're not getting relief, I'm going to encourage you to really look at your gut health. So when we talk about gut health, we want to look at some of the products like the doTERRA enzymes, helping you to digest your food and move it through the system properly. Probiotics like PB Assist that are going to help you to build up that healthy gut bacteria. You might consider a cleanse to kind of get some of your digestive tract moving if it doesn't seem to be on a regular schedule. All of those things should help you, but really your gut is like your I don't know, your semiconductor, your major brain. It's your, it's your artificial intelligence. It's your intelligence that really can fuel so many different things. Because how do we get the fuel that runs our bodies? We eat it, right? All the foods that we eat, that we incorporated into our bodies. If you're eating a diet high in ultra processed foods, consider maybe changing some of those dietary choices and looking into your gut health. So while this is about healing skin when it's injured or stressed, your diet is absolutely an indicator of how, and your gut health is absolutely an indicator of how well your skin is going to heal. So on that note, I just want to tell you, thank you so much. I hope that you all are able to enjoy this beautiful skin like this young woman wherever you are, and look for those healing properties in all of the products that doTERRA sells, specifically ones that are geared towards skin. Thank you so much for having been here. And as you know, you can always contact me on all social media platforms. I'm happy to answer your question, and have a wonderful week. We're going to be back again here, as I mentioned, over the next 2 weeks. We're going to be talking about some other I don't know, fun issues for until the end of June. And then I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break, but there are over 400 videos on this channel for you to take a look at, and all about essential oils. And I hope you'll go down below and really kind of scrounge around, see some of the cool things that we posted there in the past. Have a wonderful week, everyone. And we'll see you back here next week. Bye-bye now.